Hi, everyone. My name is Merenla, and I'm honestly really surprised that I got invited to speak here today. But this also means that I got a lot of more street cred now, so I'm feeling really cool and highly underconfident at the same time, not sure what to make of this whole situation, but here goes. I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, who is this woman in really bright clothes standing in front of us? So let me give you a little backdrop about myself. I was born in Assam, and I grew up in Nagaland. And that is me, the one in front, the human-looking one. Yeah. And I had a very normal, boring childhood. You know, when I was 4 years old, I saw my neighbor burn herself to death. When I was 5 years old, I accidentally poured hot boiling water on myself. When I was 6 years old, a dog bit me and my cat ran away. None of those two incidents were related to each other. When I was 7 years old, I fell into a pond and almost drowned. And when I was 11 years old, my mother took me to a concert where there was a stampede and I almost died. So, yeah, it was a very normal, regular, boring childhood. And I thought that I would grow up and become a scientist and one day win a Nobel Prize for discovering a strain of bacteria that I was planning to name after myself. Clearly, I had very big dreams. Either that or I was just delusional. This picture is just for representational purposes. I was told I have to make a PowerPoint presentation, so I just gathered some really random images and I put them together just to keep you guys entertained in case you get bored this side. So, I now live in Mumbai. I'm an actor, I'm a comedian, I'm a writer. I make videos on social media, and yeah, that's pretty much how I earn my daily bread. And when I got a call to come here, I was told that I would have to get up and speak. And I was like, oh, great, because I can speak on no topic for hours. And then they gave me a topic. And that's when I knew I was screwed. Because these videos that I like to make on social media, I like to come across as sounding very intelligent in them, just to keep up with the facade that I'm way smarter than I actually am. And that has come back to bite me in the ass today, because the topic that I got is performing perceptions. When I first heard this, I'll be very honest, I had no idea what it meant. I was like, of course, I would love to come and give my, expert opinion on the subject matter. So, yeah, that's how I'm here today. So, performing perceptions. When I first moved to Delhi more than a decade ago, I had a huge culture shock. It took me a while to adjust. But just like those of us who moved to other cities to study, I somehow managed. And then one day, I was out grocery shopping with my sister, and then a man on a bike just zoomed past us. And as he did, he yelled joyfully, full of excitement, at the top of his lungs, "Chinky!" And at that point of time, at 18 years of age, I thought, "Aw, he noticed me in a crowd, and he decided to acknowledge me in front of everyone else. What a warm city." And just when I was about to turn around and wave at this sweet man, my sister just shoved me aside, and she rattled off all the abuses that existed in her Hindi vocabulary. That was the day I realized that the word chinky is not just used to describe this situation. It is also used to mock this situation. That's when I realized that perceptions exist. What is perception? What is perception? Well, perception is the way something is understood, regarded, or interpreted. The way I perceived myself was not the way the man on the bike perceived me. And that is why perception for me is so closely tied to identity. So, to quote the man on the bike, I am a chinky. I was born a chinky, and I have been a chinky pretty much my entire life. In fact, that's one of the first things that people usually notice about me, and it just becomes the foundation on which people build their perception about me. I have ruffled quite a few feathers in the past by openly using the term chinky, because I would rather much have a term of hate become a reason for laughter. It empowers me to remove the stigma around the word chinky and make it a conversation starter. While I saw myself as a supposedly strong, independent woman, which is the image of myself that I have conjured up in my mind, the man on the bike saw me as a target for bullying, while my sister saw me as a victim. And that is the way people like me have been portrayed in the media. Our victim status has become so strong of an identity for us. It becomes the crux that, not the crutch that writers depend on when they're writing stories about us. And while I do agree that we face some sort of bullying every time, whenever we move to the big cities, that is not the only thing that clearly defines us. So backtracking to what I said about conversation starters, as a conversation starter, I used the word chinky in one of my videos 2 years ago, and then accidentally became the crusader for chinky rights. This video was supposed to be just lighthearted. It was supposed to be just a take on the kind of questions that people from the Northeast are asked. But as much as I enjoyed the attention and the appreciation that came from the video, it made me feel really uncomfortable because it got tagged as a reverse racism video. And then it became all about fighting racism with more racism, and that just makes you a bully, which was never my intention. So I've been talking a lot about racism now. I think it's very important that I do make one point, and that is that the Northeast is also racist, just like the rest of the country. It is not a question of who is more racist than who. Xenophobia exists throughout this country. It is the one common thread that just ties us all together. It's true. To sum it all up, we are all haramis. The one common thread, yeah. And I also find it very amusing the way woke people like to perceive us. It can be quite patronizing. In our culture of wokeness, there's always this pressure to stand up for the oppressed and the minorities. And by definition, I am a textbook oppressed person. I'm an ethnic minority. I'm a religious minority. My gender for the longest time has been considered the weaker sex. I am a tribal who owns an indigenous inhabitant certificate to prove my domicile. I am a woke person's wet dream. And just like a woke dream, woke dream, that's a nice term. Just like a wet dream, the orgasm of self-righteousness that comes from standing up for the oppressed is only felt by the person having the wet dream. It's just a very superficial sense of outrage. And I just want to tell woke people that, they don't have to feel the pressure to stand up for our rights. Like, it's okay. On the contrary, it kind of just shows that they perceive us as a weaker section of the society that needs saving. And there's no compulsion to save us. We're cool, it's fine. Perceptions for me are like pre-made boxes where things of different shapes and sizes are expected to fit in seamlessly. And that is where I have a problem, because I find it difficult to fit into the pre-made boxes that has been designed for the likes of me. Because at the end of the day, we are all amalgamations of the people, the places, and the cultures we come in contact with. What I'm basically trying to say is that boxes are square, and I am more of a parallelogram. Sometimes I feel like a hexagon. Yeah, and I don't even have a conclusion to all these ramblings that I've been saying here today. Perceptions are flawed because they don't represent the absolute truth. They are in a way a contortion of reality. While performing can be very liberating for me, especially because I have so much social anxiety, perceptions, on the other hand, box me as a performer. So in conclusion to my conclusion, I swear this is the final conclusion, what I really want to say is that I am a parallelogram. Thank you.